how are you feeling? You know, to be a champion once again, especially coming back to this venue and lifting the trophy, and then also your assessment of the 90 minutes.
Yeah, firstly, I must congratulate Sundowns, for the work they're doing and for setting the bar so high for the rest of us to try and bridge. So congratulations to Coach Mangoba's technical team and the club and players for the amazing football they're dishing out on a weekly basis. Always special to come back to my second home. I had 2 spells here at Celtics and some of the best supporters in the land are from this area. So it's always a pleasure to come and play in front of them. It's an honor. And deja vu, isn't it? 2012, nobody gave us a chance. We done it. This was a fairy tale story, this little team from Olechi Polokwane. People were talking about 4, 5, and 6 nulls today. But I was quietly confident that our team could be a lot more competitive than that. And going into the game, the first half, the whole intention was we knew we were going to see probably 30 to 35% of the ball, but our aim was to go into the break without conceding, and that didn't happen. And when Elvis Chipazeza went down with a knock, that's exactly what I discussed with my centre halves. Those penetrating passes to the feet of Reyners as well as Shalulile was starting to look dangerous, and that's exactly how we conceded. So that was very disappointing, not going into the break level. The other 2 chances were strikes from outside the box, which is what we wanted. No combination play to break us down. Both shots were from outside the box. The first one, Elvis made a good save to his left. The second one from Aquena was tipped over. It was straight at him. And the third chance went in. But at half-time, we had to change things. People may say, why didn't you start that way? Well, I saw Arrow start that way. I saw Supersport start that way. And Marumo trying to press them from the top. And look what happened there. So we knew that was the right approach. We had some very good chances on the break to catch them. It wasn't to be, but I thought in the second half we had to come out, be brave, play a little bit more. And what's very, very rewarding and makes coaches feel happy is when you work on something at training and it comes to fruition in the game. And the 2 goals were from the training ground, and I'm so happy for the players for executing it. And once again, happy for our club, happy for the supporters, but most importantly for this group of players. I've said it before, I'm so hard on them, and sometimes I feel bad for it because I understand they're not the most talented group. So I've got to try as the coach to squeeze every bit of potential, every bit of energy out of them in order for us to be competitive. And that's exactly what they keep giving week in, week out. And based on the second half performance, it was a deserved 2 goals we scored. And once again, Elvis had not as many saves to make as the Richards Bay game, but he dealt comfortably with what was thrown at him tonight. But the players deserve absolutely all the credit for what they've achieved against all odds.
Thank you very much, Coach. Let's take questions from the floor. Let's go to Matwarelo, Alex FM. I've noted
Congratulations on your win. How would you compare today's victory to the one that you played in 2012 where you were still the top of the knockout?
Yeah, I think I was asked this question before. I think this one was a lot more difficult. Back then in 2012, even though they had the Shlompokekanas and the billiards, we weren't playing against the national team. This felt like playing Bafana Bafana tonight. 6 of these players started the other day and a few on the bench. So there was so much quality. I thought that also. I had a lot more experience in that Celtics team in 2012. The John Aruas, the Kurt Lenchis of this world had lots of games behind them. And this group I've got, 6 of my starters have 6 games in the PSL. So in terms of the collective experience, we're very low in that department. So I think this probably ranks right up there, with my best achievement as a coach. Yeah, 21 years of coaching. I started in 2003-4 season in Durban in the NFD with Durban Stars. It's been a long while, and I've only been to 2 cup finals, and that alone should tell you how difficult it is to get to a cup final. But I'm happy that I've been to 2 and won 2, so 100% record.
Let's go to Smiso, your homeboy.
Good evening, coach. Congratulations on the win, obviously. Smiso from Independent Media. Coach, in your assessment of the game, you touched on how you had to sort of set up your side in a way that wasn't like one other teams that Sundowns had beat. We've also seen you set up your team like against Kaizer Chiefs in the league. Is this what a sort of reinvented Clinton Larsen looks like? Is this a side of you that you had to tap in, a side that many people might even describe as the dark arts of the game, the dirty stuff? Is this you reinvented, and is this you moving forward?
I wouldn't say it's me moving forward, but it is our current game model based on the type of players that I've got to work with at the moment. We don't have the players to play a possession-based team, so I've got to try and find a way to still be organized, but still dangerous at moments with the group of players that I've got. I've said this from the beginning, They also a very coachable group of players, and I've said it before. My front 4 players, Makubu, Mashiko, Mekoa, Chirambadare, and Kakora. The way those 4 players work in and out of position is unbelievable. And credit for that must go to my fitness coach, Pedro Picaro. Now I've worked with him at Golden Arrows and Chipper. He's up there with the best. You cannot play this way if you're not a fit team. And we are a super fit team. So I want to thank Pedro publicly for the job that he's done, for leaving his job in Brazil and following me to the NFD when I called him. And, I think he's been rewarded now in some way for coming back to South Africa and doing the work that he's doing. But another young coach I also want to mention, besides my 2 assistants, Papi Zotwani and Jackie Ledwaba, is a young goalkeeper coach I found at Summerfield Dynamos. Fiston Kabwanga is his name. He used to be a goalkeeper and became a coach when I arrived at Summerfield. And I've worked with the Andre Broncos, former Bafana Celtics coach. I've worked with Milton Nino, the Brazilian, and I rate him very, very highly, Fiston. He's proven in a very, very short space of time what a good goalkeeper coach he is. And the performances of Chipazeze, as well as the other 2 you guys may not have seen, are also down to the work being done by him. Elvis has been brilliant throughout the season, but he would not be had it not been for the type of training he's been getting. So I really want to thank my technical team, my 2 assistants, and in particular Pedro and Fiston for the great work they've been doing.
Zako?
Congratulations, Coach. Maybe just on the similar set of notes, maybe. What do you make of how this team has actually bought in to what you are trying to do in the way that you are actually trying to make them play? And just in terms of this victory, what do you think it will do for you guys going forward? And also, I think everyone now will be looking at you as before you are kind of minnows, so to speak.
Yeah, in terms of buy-in, I think that's the most important thing for any coach. As soon as you get buy-in from your group of players, it makes your job a lot easier. And I've been able to do that. But there are also contributing factors to why that happens. And one of them is the fact that I've got a lot of ex-players that I've coached at other clubs. I've coached Bongani and Pandle, the goalkeeper, our reserve goalkeeper today. I've coached Limbikani Mzava before. Mzwanile Buchalezi, who didn't make the squad today from Golden Arrows. I've coached him before. I've coached Diolan Mekoa. I've coached Samuel Dapo before. Rulani Manzini, I've coached before. I can go on, and these players understand how I work. And for them to pass on that message to the rest of the team is very, very important. And I'm very, very lucky that even though most of them have been discarded. They are reviving their careers in a very, very spectacular way.
Colleagues, can we all just make sure that our phones are on silent, please?
So, could you just what this will do now and how
Sure.
you make it?
Yeah, in terms of what this means for the club, I keep saying every victory builds confidence. It builds self-belief. And we've been doing that since Golden Arrows, when we got our first win in the league. Immediately the players started to think to themselves, hey, we belong here. We can compete here. And we follow that up with a away point against star-studded Cape Town City team. Follow that up with a win at Pirates. And with each game, it's now 8 games unbeaten. With each game you play, the self-belief grows, the confidence grows. And hopefully this doesn't make us a more competitive team in the league, because that is our bread and butter, and that's where we want to be more successful. So we're going to try and accomplish that. It's not going to be easy over 30 games. We know that we might still be in a relegation fight, but I think if we keep fighting the way we did today, we got a big chance to stay up and surprise a lot of people.
Quick one from Atlantic.
Good evening, Coach. You have touched a little bit of Ginger, somebody who has played professional football for another decade and has made a lot of contribution to our football and that kind of thing. Today was actually his first cup final appearance.
Yeah.
He never got to get to a cup final as a player, and he wins it for the first time as a coach. He's somebody that you trust a lot and you work with him very closely. Just a little bit more on him and
Sure.
what he means to you behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think Coach Papi, I worked with him at Golden Arrows when I was there for 3 years at Golden Arrows. He was one of my DDC coaches, along with Vilakazi Kano. And, I saw the talent in him then. And then when I was at Summerfield Dynamos, Papi started coaching in the NFD with Utongati. We played them in the league, we played them in the Nedbank, sorry, not in the league, in friendly games. We played them in the Nedbank Cup as well. And we actually beat them and got to the quarterfinals where Sundowns gave us a good walloping. But I understand Papi's brain. He was such a classy footballer, and actually I used his story to motivate our players. A great player like Papi Zotwani played for some big clubs like Sundowns and Arrows. In his entire career, did not play in a final. So that should tell you how rare these occasions are and how difficult it is to reach a cup final. Like I've said, in 21 years, it's only my second. He's been a great assistant, along with Jackie Ledwaba. The reason I came to the club was because Jackie, who was the then head coach, asked me to come and assist him and become my assistant coach. So he's a selfless human being. What a lovely person. And 2 young coaches next to me that are learning as they're going along, but are very intelligent, have very intelligent football minds.
Okay, as we wrap up, we're going to go to Robin Juk and then Jabulo. If we've got more time, we'll take more, but we still have players as well to bring in.
Coach, I wanted to find out, when you were seeing what's happening, Coach, you were written off by many. Were there opportunities then for the club in the top flight? If there were, why didn't you take them? And also on Zava. Zava, I spoke to him a couple of days ago. He said he almost, quitted football. What have you done to him and other guys who were written off to say this is your last chance and then make a use of it?
Yeah, depends who you ask if I was written off. Summerfield didn't write me off. They gave me an opportunity. Maybe you're talking Premier League. Sometimes as a coach, when you're involved in you at a club and it gets relegated, somehow people lose faith in your ability as a coach. And I went to a Polokwane City team. The day I arrived, they had just lost 10 games in a row. 10 games. So from 30 points, they had got 0. And we went into a bubble. And it was a very complicated bubble for Polokwane City. And things didn't work out. The club got relegated. And probably some PSL bosses felt this coach is not good enough. And that's how things panned out. 3 seasons, I was out of the league. but I still worked in the ABC, joined Magesi in the NFD, and now I'm trying to survive one more time in the PSL. With Mzava, yes, Mzava was very close to quitting. You're 100% right about that. But I gave him a call in pre-season and I said to him, listen, because my fitness coach follows him on Instagram. He was keeping very fit in the gym, so he never let himself go. So I knew it would take a very, very short space of time to get him right physically. So after calling him, he agreed to come down for an assessment. And from the first day I could see it's the same old Mzalva I knew at Bloemfontein Celtics when I signed him as a 19-year-old. And yeah, he's come in with that maturity, with that leadership. Another beautiful human being, you know, so great to have around the club. He's always giving advice to this young group of players, and it's really making my job a lot easier as well.
Jabulo.
Jabulo from News 24. Coach, when the second goal came, I mean, you sat unmoved on the bench for a very long time. What was going through your mind in that period? And in performances like this, I mean, we've seen a number of so-called small teams play like this with this hard result, but it's not a performance that they consistently show, even when they're playing against team on their level. How then do you ensure that you're able to translate this and not just be the once-off when you play against the so-called big guys, but you keep the stage?
Yeah, sure. I think when it comes to celebrating, I'm 52 years old now. I don't know if I've got the energy to celebrate goals anymore. Probably will pull my hamstring if I sprint like Steve Compella down to the corner flag. So yeah, listen. I think for me, against the Orlando Pirates, we learned a lesson. Don't celebrate too early. They almost came back and equalized right at the death. We learned that lesson against Kaizer Chiefs, celebrating, making mistakes, conceding 2-2, you know, so I'll try and work on my celebrations in the future, but for now, I'm just focused on the players, you know. I'll try and keep doing as best I can with the little knowledge I've got, and hopefully these players can improve. Sorry, the second part of your question?
Maintaining this performance, not only when you play.
Yeah, I think that's going to come with experience. You know, performances are always going to fluctuate when you've got such a young, inexperienced group. So I think that midway through the season, and maybe in the second part of the season, we'll start to see the team manage games a little bit better, start believing in themselves a little bit more, something we're lacking at the moment. So that will improve with time. Based on what I'm seeing from the players, they really are growing, and they just need to believe more in themselves. A lot of them are still doubting whether they're good enough to play at this level, and surely tonight proves that they do.
Colleagues, I can see, I think we still have 10 more hands, but we won't be able to get to everyone. We still have players. I'm just going to take one, and it's going to be from a journalist from Limpopo, since we... so, can you guys just decide who's going to take it? Because there are two. Are you happy with it? Okay, sure.
Coach Cliff from Capricorn FM. Coach, when you came to Magesi, the whole plan was to, make sure they don't go down. They were struggling. How would you describe the turnaround that, you brought to the club, especially looking at the 2024 that we had, from gaining promotion to also the cutting?
Yeah, it wasn't easy when I arrived at the club. I think they had lost 6-0 to JDR, if I'm not mistaken, a week before I arrived. So, they were panicking, and a young coach like Jackie Ledwaba was feeling a little bit of pressure. And yes, in that first half of the season when I joined, it was all about stability, which we managed to bring to the team. And in the second half, I really had a strong feeling that we could push, because we brought in a few key players like Mikoa, like Dapo, Motsi Matima is another one who's played a lot of games, Wonderboy Makubu. And I knew that with this group of players and the players that had promoted the team from the ABC, Motsepeli, we could put together a strong team. That is a promotion league. It's not a league to count your passes. And we had a few teams that were counting their passes in the NFD, and we were trying to score as many goals as we could to win matches. And I think that plan worked for us. You know, we were very direct. We scored 42, maybe 44 goals, I'm not sure. And we were very tight at the back with 12 clean sheets. So it was a very, very simple plan. You know, try and win games as quickly as possible and defend the lead. Simple plan worked for us. Found ourselves in the PSL. And yeah, like I said, unfortunately, it was a tough window for us. All the players that we had targeted initially, we couldn't get, mostly because their salary bracket was way out of what we could afford as a club. So we had to revise our recruitment strategy, and we then looked at players that were available. I had seen Delano Abrams from Tuks playing in the playoffs against Richards Bay. I thought that he's a decent player, he could help us. Limbikani Mzava. Fortunately, we also managed to get Wonderboy on a loan again from Skikune. So once we got those players, I really thought that, you know, with this group, we can start to at least be competitive, knowing that we weren't strong enough at the top end of the table. And it's still a lot of hard work ahead for us. We're the team with the poorest stats in the league, by the way. The stats show that. And but there's something the stats don't show. Is the attitude and the work rate and the work ethic of the team. Stats don't show that. They'll show we've got less possession. They'll show we've got more goals, shots at our goal. They'll show we lose the ball in our half, in the opponent's half. They'll show all that. But nobody works harder than them against the players. And just because of that, I think we can compete.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Congratulations.